Daeron.
Hey, can you hear me?
Daeron. Yeah, I gotcha. What's up, man?
That's every Zoom call, every work meeting.
Yeah.
You call on somebody, and then there's that guaranteed 30 seconds where they're trying to figure out why they're muted.
And if they're not like technically savvy,
after this long, still happens every single meeting almost.
Yeah.
How's it going, man? You have a good weekend?
Yeah, good weekend. Thanks for dropping that information when I wasn't at home. I appreciate you.
I know. I waited right till you left.
You're a dick. I'm just saying. Yeah, it was like, yeah, I was like, all right, well, it is what it is. So anyways, guys, I got Daeron on comms here. We
did a little math, or somebody did math for us, and we put it all together. So basically, we released our devlog on April Fool's about our patch on 420, and our patch contains 69 item changes. So we're playing with all the numbers this month.
It's a sign.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah. 360 no scope YOLO, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, man. So pretty exciting. I said as much in my video. I've been of the mind, I think this is should have maybe been the approach from the start. But now that hand sort of forced you, how I look at it is like, let's not waste an opportunity to make big changes, because how I look at it is you and Matt's job is to basically bring people back and bring new people in. And the only way you're bringing people back is that you don't do the same things that drove them away in the first place. And,
of course, yeah.
Right. And obviously the things that drove them away in the first place, there's key indicators, literally. The player graphs of like when something came out and players were just like, no. So like, to me, it's like, hey, how quickly can you revert some of those? How quickly can you fix? How quickly can you adjust and ride the wave that was already forming, but now even more? I mean, the response has been pretty astounding across the board, right?
Oh yeah, this is like a complete 180-degree turn in terms of response from the community, in terms of March and then this announcement. There's still some, people with doubts and,
sure,
who is this Cauldron group, and all they care about is comp players and comp play. And, there's a few of those, but it is literally like 99% positive feedback, which is significant, right? So we don't want to, and I talk with the Cauldron guys all the time. We, of course, obviously don't want to ignore the people that have their concerns. And in fact, I have to say, what's his name? Krasnopetsky. That dude could be a community manager. He's been living on the forums and responding to people's concerns, which is great, because obviously I can't argue numbers, right? A change between 7 and 8 or whatever. Like, I'm not going to be the person to argue that or defend it or whatever. And so it's really nice that the Cauldron is, pitching in terms of letting people understand what's going on and addressing concerns as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are just concerned because they don't have a voice in it. But then the reality of it is you have to come to a consensus. Like, that's one of my concerns with, like, everybody's like, yeah, we want to hear everybody. It's like, yeah, but you still have to take all these ideas. You have to forward them and mold them into something. You can't just take, you
can't move forward on a full consensus because it doesn't exist. There's absolutely no such thing as a full consensus. So you got to do your best at.
And I think in the notes explaining what their goal, I think that's good. That's something that, like, okay. And then also knowing that, like, so this basically means in a month's time you'll have adjustments, in another month you'll have a little adjustment.
Exactly.
Like,
it's
that,
constant iterations, right? And obviously, if we're able to bring in other factors as quickly as possible, things that you were mentioning, whether it's quirks or agility or whatever, rescale, those are going to affect balance as well. And then weapons will have to continue being tuned or whatever. So
and you'd want to anyways, just because, like, something, like,
pretty much everything that we're tackling this year is going to be iterated upon. Well, there's no way we're going to get it 100% right.
And that word is actually really important to me and you, because that was one of our biggest critiques before you took this job, which was iteration PGI has always been
we don't
really
revisit things.
Yeah, and you know, like it's always being reactive instead of proactive, and I feel like you guys in this, you could say it's a little bit of both, but you're basically saying, hey, we didn't want to wait around in May, June. So anyways, I like it. I think it's fantastic. As I mentioned, I'd rather get waves going, like ride the wave right now, especially when you potentially have an influx of people from Mech 5, because there will be people that come from Mech 5 to this game. Like there's going to be people, but then also the fact of there are people that are just waiting to come back, or, you know, haven't touched the game in years, or, you know, and it's really exciting. But one of the things that I wanted to poke you about was that wasn't even the fucking patch notes. That was just a devlog.
Yeah, that was just devlog, and that's only obviously concerning the weapons and equipment values that are changing. Now, I will say real quick before anybody gets like, oh my gosh, excited. There's not a lot more coming with the April patch, right? There's the Striker pack is coming. We'll have the absolutely tested and proven spawn changes on Tourmaline. Francois was able to obviously do that real quick. And then I don't know if we have maybe a couple other little things coming in April, but then that opens up May, where we originally were going to, after rolling back in April, we were going to be putting these weapons values in May. That opens up May for other things. So, you know, I know you had Naveed on, and you guys were looking over Canyon Network. That's the first map that we've chosen for Francois to basically address in terms of not just spawn points, but everything in terms of terrain and changing terrain and assets, moving buildings and different things around. So basically the reason it was chosen, you know, people will go, well, Canyon Network wasn't the worst offender. It wasn't the worst map out there. You know, it was actually kind of a somewhat popular map. What we were looking for in order to transition Francois into what we're doing here wasn't the most difficult map. We wanted something that was kind of middle of the road because we needed him to, number one, get the skill set working, and which took him a matter of seconds, but also just kind of wrap his head around what the community would want with changes to a Mechwarrior Online map. And we basically determined that through a very long meeting and a good meeting with the Cauldron. But also we wanted something that we knew for sure he would be able to get into the May patch. We didn't want to get the worst offender and then find out, you know, a week before we had everything in for the May patch that there was some blocker. And so we absolutely wanted to get a complete map up, overhauled, and into the May patch. And so we consulted with the Cauldron and basically gave them our prerequisites for a first initial map and what we were looking for. And that's the one that they determined, you know, was something that was an obvious fix. Like they knew exactly what needed to be done, which was a lot of stuff to that map. And I'm happy to say Francois already finished it. So now basically he's doing an art pass. So he worked a lot of the terrain. It's going to be a very different looking map, although, you know, he didn't change the canyons where they go or whatever, but he added maps. And just like you were talking with Naveed, took blockers out of there, sightline blockers. And it's going to be amazing. Like I'm so pumped for this map to get in. And then moving forward, it's just like, how many of these can we get done every patch, every quarter?
How has it been from your perspective, having him aboard? Like, have you been, what's surprised you?
Well, what surprised me the most is his energy and enthusiasm. Like he's constantly pushing Matt and I, like literally every single day. He's like, you know, poking us and wanting to not sit around. I mean, honestly, dude, we couldn't have hired a better level designer. He's just got such an amazing work ethic and tons of energy, and so pumped about doing this, and loves doing things that are valued, that the community, you know, will be excited about. And he just gets it, you know. Like I originally took him in, I went into the meeting with him and the Cauldron, just kind of wanted to be that buffer and be there to assist him or whatever. But he immediately knew what the Cauldron people were talking about in terms of, like, he went above my head and my knowledge base to where I was just a third wheel there. Like the Cauldron group could say something about play style and tactics and player behavior and how that applies to the map. And instantly Francois knew what they were talking about and what needed to be changed. So it's not like we hired somebody just to do our bidding. He is
Well, you have to have
he does.
you have to have someone who has initiative but also experience with the game, and obviously,
absolutely.
You said he plays the game.
Yep.
So,
but he also just has that basic level designer knowledge of how to create a good level.
Yeah, it's been funny reading the comments. It'd be like someone will be like, yeah, what about this part of the map? And he's like, yeah, that's silly. What is? Yeah, that's not supposed to be. And it's the frankness is actually been really nice, I think, to just watch.
Here's something interesting. I see people keep bringing up lore this morning. We were in the meeting with the Cauldron, and Francois starts talking about reasons for a change and tying it in with lore. And in my mind, I'm going, oh man, these Cauldron guys, they don't give a shit about lore. Like, you're going down the wrong path, Francois. And so I kind of interrupted, and I'm like, yeah, Francois, that's awesome that you're into the lore and into the, and I said there will be a lot of people that totally love that about you. But these guys, I don't really think they care. And then immediately I got shot down by the Cauldron. They're like, no, man, this is good. This is good that he's, putting lore into what he's thinking about as well. And, so I'm like, all right, I'm just going to shut up here and let you guys go. And that's basically what it's been. It's,
well, that goes back to literally a comment I had earlier, which is I think sometimes people conflate lore with tabletop, and those lore is the stories you read, the experiences, the novels, all that.
Lore is just the icing, the flavor, and obviously there's some rules that can't be broken by lore or whatever. Some things you can't.
Well, we call them battle mechs. You don't want to just call them whatever.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
But it was really cool that. I was kind of trying to bring him down from the lore aspect, but he appreciates that as well. So what I'm getting at is he's just kind of like one of those all-around packages. Yeah. He's probably, like I told Russ, I'm like, dude, we could not have hired a better level designer.
Do you feel like,
and
obviously
all future hires are like that as well?
Well, I'm saying like, he's able to make changes quite quickly and
super quick, dude.
Potentially drastically too. So like that sort of bodes well for, as far as us seeing, because I agree with a lot of people saying, hey, new map. I get it, but like me and you have always sort of felt this way. Is that's also been a problem at PGI, which is like, hey, these themes of a map or whatever, there's something there, it just needs to be tweaked, and it never got tweaked and never got adjusted. And like when we have a lot of maps, it's just like some maps people just don't want to play for a variety of reasons, whether it's lighting or the NASCAR or just like these dominant positions. I mean, so for me, I it's refreshing to see small changes being made to maps that you're going to play every single day. Because to me, I want to be able to say, oh yeah, I want to play on Bog and it's got a different experience because of this. Not just basically like, oh, I'm just not looking forward to HPG because it's the same thing over and over.
Dude, well, yeah, I know HPG and obviously that's, that's right up there on the list of maps that need work for sure. Top of the list. But dude, when I was watching, I've already seen, like he's got Canyon already reworked, and I have never felt this kind of excitement for a rework of a map that we've already had. Forest. I'm talking Forest Colony, the new Forest Colony. I'm talking, the new Frozen City. I've never felt this kind of excitement. It's so freaking cool because, again, literally, it's somebody who understands gameplay, who's trying to balance the map, will balance the map, and it's completely addressing concerns that have built up over years of this map. And so I cannot wait for this map to get into rotation in May and for us to start playing it. I'm probably more excited about it than I would be of a new map. Of course I want a new map, but man, I just am totally lean in the favor of fixing our broken maps because, again, we've been playing these maps for years and we're going to continue to play these maps for years. One new map that's good would be exciting, but 20 fixed maps, man, holy cow. Like it just, I can't wait for this map to get in, and the changes are going to be awesome, and I can't wait to see how it changes gameplay and, you know, everything. It's going to be, these next couple of months, the stuff that's coming in is really going to change things up.
Gotcha. And of
I
course,
see a lot of feedback coming. Like,
yeah, and one of the things, you know, I was mentioning is like, I'm assuming mobility and stuff that's on the roadmap. You don't,
of course, you know,
the roadmap's organic, and if you don't have the engineer resources to do other stuff, then that gets shifted forward. And
this
that's
is
priority,
this
right?
is constantly, this whole process, dude, is like just doing as much as we can with the resources we have at any given time. So moving forward, it's the same thing. We're already trying to figure out how we're going to deal with resources over the next few months, right? Because obviously Mech 5 is like I mentioned in the vlog, it's they're taking our shared resources, you know, and there's no way around that. We absolutely have a hard date we have to meet for Mech 5. You know, it's too big of a release, and we got, you know, a huge marketing budget going into it, and we have, you know, Xbox release and Steam and GOG, all this stuff. There's just no way. So we understand them pulling the shared resources away from us. It was frustrating, but this is a perfect example of how Matt and I are going to work with that situation. You know, and somebody on Reddit totally, I was cracking up because it was, somebody said, you know, PGI says, sorry, but we're taking your resources and you can't do PTS. And then somebody said, you know, Daeron and Matt, and we said, holding my beer. And essentially that's kind of what went down. Like we were faced with this, like, what the fuck do we do? And then we're like, we just go, oh, well, let's just put them right into April. And that's how we're going to roll. We're going to, you know, get as much done every single patch as we possibly can. And if there's blockers, we're going to figure out a way around it. You know, one thing that's a total potential, and we've already talked to Russ about it, we've already talked to producers about it, is hiring an outside team to support us. So basically hired guns as far as developers for the things that might be more difficult sooner rather than later due to the lack of having engineers. You know, that's a way to deal with it. So we're looking into that right now, so that we can start getting rolling on that stuff earlier than having to wait for those shared resources to come back.
Gotcha.
Or even hiring, you know, the problem with hiring an engineer, even if we outsource, one of the issues is going to be just the training and that transition mode. But yeah, I mean, if Matt and I have, you know, shown one thing, it's that we're willing to take some pretty drastic measures in order to keep moving forward and keep the momentum going, and, you know, complete what we're setting out to do. And so yeah, I mean, dude, April and May gonna be fun patches.
Yeah, well, I think the end result, regardless of why it was done, I think is the right way anyway. Because like I said, I'm looking at it from the outside of saying, and I'm sure you've thought, I mean, we've talked about it, which is like, you already have the momentum, you've got the wave going, and obviously last month with the patch, that definitely didn't help. And so like, let's make changes quickly so that you can focus on the bigger and broader stuff. Because like, weapon changes are great, agility changes are great, but once you get the initial out there, all you're doing after that is just dial in little numbers in after that.
Yes.
So then it leaves room for the big stuff. Like, again, I don't think there's a problem using PTS for stuff like skill tree, because if you keep the current one and you adjust there, or if you just fucking throw it out the window, you know, the baby with the bathwater sort of thing, and do a new one, yeah, it makes sense having PTS. But for where the game's at right now, I don't think there's anything wrong with mixing up the state of gameplay and throwing a little bit of chaos in there. And yes, there are some people that aren't gonna like it, but to those people I say, look guys, the game's not turning around unless we make drastic changes and revert the changes that have been made over years, and also not just revert, but change the direction and sort of like, you know, with community help and support, and sometimes
I think the ongoing theme that's really important to just hammer home constantly, this is for Krasno and you and myself obviously, is that everything is iterations, right? And so even if these weapon changes come in and somebody's like, oh, you totally fucked up my ATMs or whatever, even just on that simple the weapons level, it's iterations. And if something proves to be unbalanced or not right, or whatever, then it's going to be altered and it's going to be modified. So nothing, even I've had people contact me regarding the March patch. It's totally pissed at me because we're changing back to these cauldron values because they redid all their mechs, sold all their old weapons, and they're like, now we have to change again. Well, yeah, don't sell shit going forward, guys.
Well, who does that? What game ever is it
obviously, right?
I
get that, obviously. I don't sell anything. You don't sell things. But the point is, none of this is cement. April patch is not, that's it. It's everything is fluid and ongoing and going to be iterated on and going to have more things that affect it, which means more likelihood that things will be adjusted. So this whole year is just going to be a period of adjustment, and nothing is final. So if something is introduced that you're not excited about, wait, give some feedback. That's the most important part. Give some freaking feedback, because the Cauldron is listening. They're not just like railroading their own ideas. We come in with all kinds of concerns and we address them with the Cauldron, and that's exactly what we expect to happen with the community. If there's things that go in, just because the Cauldron thought of it doesn't mean it's perfect. So let's discuss it. It's going to be that back and forth, and just keep in mind that this whole year is going to be a year of changes, and so be prepared for that. Don't sell your shit.
There you guys go. Don't sell your shit.
Don't sell your shit.
Obviously, man, you don't have a ton of time. Is there anything else that you want to get out there before?
Man, it's already the 5th.
I know.
These months are flying by, which is the good thing. Is that means we're, a few months are going to fly by, and then we're going to be like waiting in these changes, and we're going to be playing them and experiencing them. I'm freaking pumped. So is there anything else I can think of? Not off the bat. I got a ton of stuff to do today. Obviously, we're getting everything in today for the April patch. Really Friday, but today we can make a few adjustments, and then it's locked in. We got the April patch coming. Obviously, I'll be working on another event for the last weekend of this month. Don't know what it's going to be yet. But
what about the next free mech?
Next free mech? That is going to be a discussion that I put out there this week, trying to figure out what the mech's going to be. So probably I need to do that today.
Just another thing that. I'm glad I could remind you about that.
Dude, it's a ton of stuff, but you know what? I love it. Like after we course corrected, man, my life just got a lot better. Like I can feel the hope and the optimism again. It was a crushing feeling before that, and I just feel a lot better now. And
well, I mean, numbers still went up. It just wasn't hugely drastic, but numbers were up as far as
numbers have been going up. In fact, I think a lot of you playing this weekend experienced some server issues.
Yeah, someone was asking about that in chat. We know.
Yeah, so that was like Friday night and Saturday night specifically. So it's kind of nice that we're stressing servers. Whatever, we're digging into figuring out what it was, but basically I think we have to upgrade. And so it's wonderful, man. It's such a good feeling to again seeing people saying they're coming back. Like the forums, Reddit, streams. I'm just seeing it over and over again. Even people contacting me directly, just saying they haven't played for years, but finally we're doing something significant, and they're coming back. So getting all those messages has just been awesome. Like I said, it's been 99% positive, and we are paying attention to the 1%, what people are concerned about, but I think it's going to be an exciting couple months, like I said, for sure.
All right. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you hopping on here. And again, I feel like a podcast, just saying, whenever you need to let me know when you got some free time.
I think it would be good to have Francois on, so you can get to know him a little bit. But yeah, let's talk about it this week.
Okay, sounds good. Have a good one.
All right,
Thanks
man.
for stopping by.
Yep, for sure. You guys have a great day out there, and talk to you soon.
Later.
Cheers, man.
All right, there you guys go. Mama Bear. Camistrius, you heard it. Don't sell your shit, guys.